This is BBC Newsline. I'm Lindsay Telford. The headlines this evening.
As Catherine Connolly prepares to enter Áras an Uachtaráin as the next Irish president, Taoiseach Micheál Martin is feeling the backlash from his own backbenchers.
The results yesterday clearly are a reflection on what, in my view, was a significant error of judgment in the run-up to and during the campaign, and they clearly have consequences.
4 police officers are investigated over comments made about an alleged victim of domestic abuse. Talks on health pay continue as unions reject the latest offer. Ethnic minorities living in Northern Ireland share their personal stories through a new photo book. And we meet Scooby the Labradoodle, the newest member of staff at a primary school in Armagh.
Scooby's just a wonderful, friendly dog, and he helps out everyone and puts a smile on everyone's face.
County champions for the first time for 2 Ulster clubs will have all the reaction from a special day in Tyrone and Armagh.
And it turned greyer and wetter through today with rain from the west. Will it clear by tomorrow? I'll have the details shortly.
Hello and welcome to the programme this Monday, the 27th of October. The Taoiseach Micheál Martin is facing calls from senior backbenchers in Fianna Fáil for a discussion about the future of his leadership. It comes on the back of Catherine Connolly's landslide victory in the Irish presidential election at the weekend. She's to become the 10th President of Ireland after defeating Fine Gael's Heather Humphreys. The Fianna Fáil candidate, former Dublin Gaelic football manager Jim Gavin, had withdrawn his bid for the Áras earlier in the race. Well, let's get more from our political editor, Enda McClafferty, who's in Dublin this evening. Enda.
Well, Lindsay, in a little over a fortnight's time, Catherine Connolly will arrive here at Áras an Uachtaráin to take up residence, replacing Michael D. Higgins as the next Irish president after that emphatic victory over the course of the weekend. But as you say, that victory has come at a high cost for the Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who's been feeling the heat over the past number of days from very angry backbenchers over the way that his party's challenge effectively fizzled out. In a moment, we'll assess what it could mean for his leadership long term. But first of all, Kevin Sharkey has been reflecting on the weekend results.
A president in waiting with a pledge to the Irish public.
I will be a president who listens and who reflects and who speaks when it's necessary, and a voice for peace, a voice that builds on our policy of neutrality, a voice that articulates the existential threat posed by climate change.
Alongside the president-elect in her moment of triumph, family. A fluent Irish speaker from Galway, Catherine Connolly is also a barrister who became the first woman to be elected as Leas Ceann Comhairle of the Dáil, or Deputy Speaker. In Dublin over the bank holiday weekend here, support for the annual marathon and for the incoming First Citizen.
We'll miss Micheál D. Higgins, but she's the best candidate, absolutely.
I think the best candidate won the race, to be honest.
I think she'll do really well, looking after the interests of the country.
Catherine Connolly's success has been savoured by her political supporters, but for the 2 main government parties, discomfort and questions. Fine Gael lost the election and Fianna Fáil lost its candidate during the campaign. And for Fianna Fáil, that's a problem. For party members all around the country and for elected members in the Dáil, there are dissenting voices and pushback.
There's a huge amount of affection and respect for Micheál Martin over his 14 years as leader. However, the results yesterday clearly are a reflection on what, in my view, was a significant error of judgment in the run-up to and during the campaign, and they clearly have consequences.
He's brought the party back, literally from the brink, back to be the largest party in government. Micheál has actually been an exceptional leader.
Catherine Connolly's new role will require new skills to add to those she has already mastered. Kevin Sharkey, BBC Newsline in Dublin.
Well, in a moment we'll assess what lies in store now for Micheál Martin, the Fianna Fáil leader, after the weekend's results, with our Dublin correspondent Gabby Agadavisketska. But first of all, let's talk to Sinn Féin TD Ona Bryn about that performance. Could she have pulled it off without you, do you think?
Well, obviously, as the largest opposition party and a party with a very considerable organisation on the ground, we contributed enormously. But I have to say, in the first instance, the victory is Catherine's. It was Catherine's name on the ballot, and she's the person who people voted for. There was a very broad coalition of progressive opposition parties, ourselves included. And for sure, we brought very considerable organisational experience, feet on the street, as well as a sizable Sinn Féin vote.
So what will Republicans be expecting now from the President who they've put in the Ársa Nuachtára?
I think we'll be expecting her to do exactly what she said in her acceptance speech in Dublin Castle, that she wants to be a president for all. She wants to listen, she wants to learn. And anybody who knows Catherine knows she's thoughtful, she's considered, she has very strong views, and so she should do. But I think she's going to be a president who's really going to reach out in the spirit of the last three presidents.
It is a powerless position, really, isn't it, though? It's pretty just symbolic.
I think viewers who saw what Mary Robinson did in terms of the peace process, what Mary McAleese brought to the peace process and an All-Ireland dialogue, what Michael D. Higgins has brought to issues around neutrality, as well as our housing crisis, knows that, of course, it's the government of the day who addresses the problems, but the President has an important role in framing the national conversation, and Catherine Connolly has made it clear she's going to be a President who frames that national conversation about Irish unity.
Are you worried about her Republican credentials? Because in interviews in the past she's talked about Northern Ireland belonging to England. She's also talked about Northern Irish citizens. It's not your kind of language, is it?
Well, of course, she's not a member of Sinn Féin, and she's not the kind of Republican that I am, but she's somebody who throughout the course of this campaign spoke about her desire to see United Ireland and play a positive role in that conversation around Irish unity, particularly given we could be on the countdown to the referendum. But also she has core values of inclusion, of social justice, of equality. She has a grá from Gaeilge, as well as a strong commitment to neutrality, to peace, and opposition to genocide in Gaza. So they're all ideas perfectly compatible with ours. But I also think they're views which the majority of the voters clearly voted for on Friday.
Of course, let's talk about the wider campaign, though, because we do know Heather Humphreys was subjected to sectarian abuse because of her family's links to the Orange Order. Already unionist politicians talking about a cold place for Protestants as evidence, they would say, in the campaign. Is that not a fair mark?
Well, first of all, the abuse was utterly unacceptable. I was probably the first politician to comment after the Mail on Sunday ran what I thought was a terribly sensational story. Heather Humphreys is a proud Ulster Presbyterian. She's also somebody, by the way, who is equally committed to United Ireland. But there can be no place for sectarianism, not just in our electoral campaigns, but again, as we move to that referendum on Irish unity, we need people to understand that we have to find ways to respect each other's traditions and culture. And therefore, while
But did it expose a level of intolerance, do you think, that people out there might not have thought was evident?
I have to say, and again, while I utterly reject the sectarianism as it was expressed, it was on the absolute fringes of the campaign. Wrong, should not have happened. But I actually think if you listen to what Catherine Connolly has said, she's going to make Ársa Nuachtára a very warm house for all people, the length and breadth of Ireland, north and south, whether Protestant, Unionist, Loyalist, Nationalist, Republican or other. And I think that's the way it should be.
Less than 1 in 2 people voted in this election, and of those that did, 1 in 5 voted in a way that their vote wasn't going to count. A pretty farcical situation.
Well, first of all, Catherine Connolly has got the largest first preference vote in any presidential election in the history of the state.
It was only a 2-horse race, though.
Sure, but she got the largest actual number of votes in any presidential election in the history of the state, the largest percentage share. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. The very, very significant number of spoil votes shows that there's a job of work to do, particularly for those people who are angry and frustrated, and we'll be working very, very hard to engage with those people, as will Catherine Connolly. But ultimately, that's on the government, not on Catherine.
Let me bring in Gabia now. Just how much trouble is Micheál Martin in?
Well, certainly there is a lot of anger now amongst those Fianna Fáil backbenchers, and that anger has been simmering and bubbling for quite some time. Of course, the elephant in the room in this election was Jim Gavin, who was on the ballot, but he withdrew. People could still vote for him. Now, the rebel group of TDs within Fianna Fáil, they are now voicing their concerns, and they're saying there's a discussion that needs to happen about the future of the leadership. The concern for Micheál Martin is not that rebellious group of TDs, but it's the TDs are coming in from the outside. There is going to be a review that will take place of the campaign ran by Fianna Fáil in this election. So they're saying in the next 2 weeks, once that review is over, that discussion about the leadership will take place then.
And just briefly, Michael D. Higgins spent last night in hospital. What's the latest?
Yes, so he still remains in hospital. He is in St James's, where he was taken last night. There's an infection that the Ora said in a statement. That's the issue that he's been hospitalised for. He's on a course of antibiotics, and he's going to remain in hospital for that course of antibiotics.
Okay. Gabia, thank you very much indeed for your time, and thank you as well, Owen O'Brien from Sinn Féin. So there you have it. Lindsay, back to you in the studio.
And thank you. 3 police officers were recorded making degrading and inappropriate comments about an alleged victim of domestic abuse. That's according to the findings of a police ombudsman investigation. The 3 officers have been issued with advice on how to improve their conduct. Bernie Allen has more.
In 2022, police were responding to a call from a woman who was reporting domestic abuse. As a result of police attending that incident, a man was arrested and taken into custody, and a phone was seized. Unbeknown to officers, that phone was recording before, during and after the arrest, and the man who owned the phone reviewed the audio and found inappropriate comments made about him and his partner by police officers. The language included officers referring to a suspected victim of domestic violence as mental, possibly suffering from postnatal depression and requiring hospitalisation. Today, 3 police officers have been issued with advice to improve their conduct following a police ombudsman investigation.
Well, I think what victims of domestic violence can be assured of is that they can come to the ombudsman. The ombudsman will conduct a vigorous and thorough and fair investigation into their allegation.
The PSNI say the conduct of the officers fell short of its standards, but it was not representative of what they described as the excellent work police officers carry out on a daily basis. Bernie Allen, BBC Newsline.
People living in the Meadowbrook area of Craigavon have returned to their homes following a security alert. They had been out of their properties since Sunday afternoon after a suspicious device was found. It's since been removed by Army bomb experts and taken away for further examination. Meanwhile, police say a device left in Campion Court in the waterside area of Londonderry at the weekend was viable and posed a serious risk to the local community. The authorities are advising people to avoid the water at Port Stewart Strand after the discovery of blue-green algae. The National Trust says the algae could pose a health risk after strong winds caused algal scums to appear on the beach. Dog walkers have also been advised to keep their pets on leads when visiting the Strand. Still to come on the programme, Rob Balakoon impresses again. But Ulster's unbeaten run comes to an end as they lose out to the Lions. Now, talks have resumed after Northern Ireland's health workers' unions rejected a renewed pay offer from the Department of Health. They objected to the offer of a 3.6% rise from the start of this month, along with further increases next year, because it wouldn't be backdated. Unions, including the Royal College of Nursing, say they will proceed with plans to ballot for industrial action. As Michael Fitzpatrick reports.
The latest talks aimed at finding a resolution in the ongoing pay dispute got underway at Stormont this afternoon. Last week, unions rejected a pay offer put forward by the Department of Health, with some describing it as unacceptable. It's understood the department offered a 3.6% pay rise to workers from the 1st of October this year, with further increases next year. But unions objected, as the proposed offer wouldn't be backdated to April 2025, like it was for health workers elsewhere in the UK.
This is about a commitment to pay parity, and that is the absolute minimum that we are looking to have achieved here. We're engaging in discussions with the Minister and with officials around trying to get that objective achieved, but we have been clear with them that whilst those discussions are ongoing, we are preparing to ballot our members for industrial action, because the link to pay parity, as you alluded to in your opening, has been broken.
Earlier this month, the Health Minister Mike Nesbitt said only half of the £200 million needed to resolve the shortfall for health workers had been found. The Royal College of Nursing has said it's not willing to accept a lesser pay deal than elsewhere in the UK, and will also proceed with plans to ballot members for strike action in the coming weeks.
I think there's a tendency here to make funding commitments, but without necessarily knowing where that money's coming from. So we do need a serious look at the budget. It's a problem this year, and unfortunately, if you look forward to the increases in funding that Northern Ireland is getting in the next few years, they are really quite small compared to what we've had in the past. So I can predict that this is going to happen again and again.
The Health Minister says he continues to respond to unions' concerns within what he called the regrettable financial constraints his department faces, He added that he anticipates further discussions in the coming week. Michael Fitzpatrick, BBC Newsline.
Now, with race-related hate crime at its highest level since records began 20 years ago, migrants here have felt increasingly marginalised and unsafe. Well, a new photo book seeks to give some who have experienced racism a platform through portraits, a voice instead of victimhood. Some told their stories at the book's launch, and I went along to find out more.
It seems like it is arson attack.
Sharing experiences of, at times, awful ordeals. From buildings burned down to personal attacks. Takura Mkoni's home was targeted last year, but that won't stop him speaking out against racism.
I've got children and I have grandchildren, and as far as I see, until things change, they have a right and entitlement to live in this country. When they grow up, work in this country and continue to contribute, as I have tried to contribute by giving them an example. And so it's not just about me, it's about the future generations and about new people who are coming to these shores unaware of how hostile it could be.
And that was partly what this exhibition was about, shining a light on those hostilities that continue to grow.
The boats are coming, and it's a very proactive anti-immigrant racial movement, and we should not take them for granted. They're serious and very committed about spreading misinformation.
This pattern of immigration.
But for this photographer who arrived to Northern Ireland decades ago, racism here exists on multiple levels.
Everybody condemns the burning out, but it's not just a question of thugs doing terrible things, I think it's some sort of systemic racism that is found in the very institutions of Northern Ireland that exclude people of colour, however competent or however qualified or however much they contribute to the organisations that they work for. And I think that is not spoken about often enough. Politicians need to be more aware of this. I really feel that there seems to be leadership. There's a leadership gap somewhere there that I think needs to be filled,
Photographer Sheila Chakravarty ending that report. Now to a primary school in Armagh, which has a special new member of staff. And he's making such a difference that the pupils have written a special song for him, which they sing at morning assembly. But the thing about this new appointment at Mount St Catherine's Primary is he's got 4 legs, as our education correspondent Robbie Meredith reports.
A special song in assembly for an unusual new member of staff. Scooby the Labradoodle has been at Mount St Catherine's Primary School in Armagh since the start of term, and he's made quite an impact.
We would have had an issue with attendance, but we just find even within the first month in school our attendance has vastly improved. Our children really are so keen to get to school because they want to see Scooby at the gate first thing in the morning, and obviously when our children are in school they will learn.
Scooby's been a hit with everyone.
Scooby's just a wonderful friendly dog and he helps out everyone and puts a smile on everyone's face.
You get to pet him and have big warm hugs with him, and it's very nice. He's very fluffy and he has very curly hair.
He brings joy and happiness to our school, and when children are anxious, he'll always go and care for them, and we're lucky to have him.
He really likes playing football with us, and he's really playful.
As you'd expect, he's been carefully trained for his job.
A child will come over and pet a dog rather than come over and talk to a person. And the benefit is the dog doesn't judge. So the dog will just stand there and let the child stroke or pet them.
Mount St Catherine's is one of only 7 mainstream schools here to have a dog like Scooby on staff. It has a large number of pupils with special educational needs, and the difference he's made is startling.
We have children that are non-verbal that are actually starting to speak. They're calling Scooby by name. They're saying goodbye. They're saying hello. These are all things that have just come about when Scooby has come about.
It's a dog's life, but Scooby is changing everybody else's. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline.
And you can find out more on this story right now on our website or by downloading the BBC News app. To sport, and a unique day in club Gaelic football in both Tyrone and Armagh yesterday. Gavin's here.
Yeah, finals tend to be emotional, but this was on another level. After decades of trying, both Madden and Loch McCrory won breakthrough county titles. Madden comfortably overcame Cullyhanna in Armagh, and Loch McCrory toppled hot favourites Trillick in Tyrone. Here's Mark Seibot.
It's not about the players, it's about the people. It's not about the club, it's about the community. Raw, real, visceral. Victories such as these are vicarious by nature. Whether Loch McCrory or Madden, they tether together friends and family across generations and across time.
It's special, you know, these boys, my brothers, my cousins, my family, you know, these boys bleed red and black, and it's amazing here. There's a couple of people not here, but look, that was for them. And
Niall Grimley's brother Patrick, his sister-in-law Ciara, and Ciara McElvanna, whose husband Kevin was part of the management team, lost their lives in a road traffic accident in November 2023. A loss which tore a gaping hole in the soul of this rural parish.
It's insane. Obviously, Patrick called arresting me. And this is for him. This is for him.
In Omagh, Loch McCrory's toppling of Trillick came down to courage and the boot of Gareth Donaghy, his injury time winner, the culmination of decades of sacrifice and endeavour.
Seeing all your family and friends and everybody who's been striving for one thing the last 52 years, it's just a bit special. Been lucky enough to have a few days like this myself with Tyrone and Tyrone under-20s and Tyrone minors, etc. But that there just tops it off.
I've stood in that terrace so many years, or in that stand for 20 years or more, watching the big teams at Tyrone playing in county final, and said, you know what, if we even had one day in the sun to see the lads in black and amber walking around behind the band, I just can't believe that we've had that experience and then to go ahead to have the courage to win it. It's unbelievable.
These are the days of their young lives, and whatever the future brings, it might never get better than October 26th, 2025. Mark Sidebottom, BBC Newsline.
Now, Ulster's unbeaten run in the United Rugby Championship came to an end in Johannesburg on Saturday. Chasing a fourth consecutive win, they lost by 49 points to 31 against the Lions at Ellis Park. Rob Baloucoune impressed again, scoring 3 of his side's 5 tries. After last week's bonus point win over the Sharks in Durban, Ulster leave South Africa with 6 points from 2 games and sit 5th in the table with a game in hand. Despite there being no local interest in the final of the Northern Ireland Open Snooker, it was still a thrilling finish to the tournament in Belfast. England's Jack Lisowski claimed his first ever ranking event title by overcoming world number 1 and close friend Judd Trump 9-8 in a final frame decider. Lisowski secured the Alex Higgins Trophy for the first time and also £100,000 prize money. And the champion had nothing but praise for the Northern Ireland supporters.
Best crowd ever for me that I've seen in the snooker game, and it makes it quite hard because they're shouting so loud, and I'm like trying my best, and it could be quite off-putting. It was quite hard at the end, but yeah, they just dragged me on today, and obviously they love an underdog, and luckily today it was me, and I feel like they pulled me over the line.
In local football, it's as you were at the top of the Irish Premiership. Glentoran remain in second place after a dramatic finish against Crusaders at Seaview when they scored twice in the final 5 minutes to come from 2-1 behind to win 3-2. This injury time strike from David Fisher gave the Glens all 3 points and kept them 2 points behind Coleraine. They won 2-0 at Portadown with this goal from Matthew Shevlin, setting them on course for victory. Next up for the Bandsiders, a home clash with champions Linfield tomorrow night.
It's a mouth-watering game. It's a great game to look forward to, and we'll be ready. We'll be ready come Tuesday. They're still the favourites. They won the league, and listen, all the pressure will be on them. They retain their title, so we're at the start of a journey, and but we'll go there and we'll go out in showgrounds on Tuesday night and try and win the game.
Derry City beat 10-man Shamrock Rovers 2-1 at the Brandywell to secure European football for next season. It was their first win over Rovers in over 2 years. Brandon Fleming scored his first goal for the club in the first half to set them on their way. Tiernan Lynch's side are now unbeaten in 9 games in the league and have a 2-point cushion over third place Shelbourne ahead of their final league game next weekend. Finally, Northern Ireland's William Crichton and co-driver Liam Regan clinched the British Rally Championship with a 4th place finish in the final round in Wales. The former world champions keep getting better. That's your sport tonight, Lindsay.
Thanks, Gavin. To the weather now, and it was a bit of a mixed bag today, but looking beautifully autumnal in Enniskillen. Barra, how's the start of half-term looking for us?
Well, we got away early this morning without the umbrella for most. Didn't last, I'm afraid. Yes, hello there. We've seen rain moving in through this afternoon. It's been pushing its way eastwards, fairly patchy, but we still have some of it to get through this evening. It's not going to last all evening. Once it clears, though, it will be a case of scattered showers coming in on a brisker westerly wind overnight. A few could be sharp. Temperatures under clear skies tonight down to about 7 or 8 degrees in some spots, so a bit of a cool start to the day tomorrow. Overall, it will be a much brighter day than today. It's not going to be completely dry, though we have quite brisk westerly winds. They'll continue through the day and quite gusty maybe towards the north coast as well. Largely dry to begin with, but still a chance of a few showers, especially in the west. Some of those drifting further east through the day, but if you're travelling, a lot of dry weather across Ireland, but just keep an eye out for a few showers coming in on those westerly winds. Highs tomorrow in and around average, 11 or 12 degrees. By the end of the day, any showers for Northern Ireland, mainly towards the north and west. Still maybe 1 or 2 stragglers towards the east. There will still be some more coming our way tomorrow evening. You'll see it's a bit of a mixed bag through the night before it begins to turn a little bit drier through the early hours of Wednesday morning. When the skies clear, another cool night, temperatures down to about 6 or 7 degrees. Wednesday itself, well, there will be some cloud around it first, maybe a little bit of damp weather, clearing up after that, turning sunnier and drier, and by Wednesday night it looks as though it will be much calmer before we see some unsettled weather on Thursday. So some damp weather maybe first thing on Wednesday, especially towards the north coast. Drier weather then develops, sunnier weather before nightfall, and then on Wednesday night it's going to be cold, but it's going to be mainly dry for any Halloween festivities taking place. Thursday, though, we have low pressure heading our way. It's set to bring some strong winds and heavy and persistent rain. So that may put a bit of a dampener on some Halloween festivities on Thursday. Once that's out of the way, it's an improving picture on Friday. Still a few showers around, but certainly not as unsettled as Thursday.
Thanks, Barra. Well, I'll be back with your late news at 10:30. Until then, you can keep up to date with BBC News NI website and with Radio Ulster. See you later.